So I've had my Mark 18, IWC Mark 18, the Petit Prince for around almost 2 weeks now. And it's good to let those initial first impressions of when you just bought your watch and you're super excited dissipate, and just get some reality and really spend some time in the watch and understand a number of different things about it. So for this video, I'm just going to look at the movement. Obviously this is all subjective to me, or some of it. The bracelet, just go with some other comments, and then just come to my conclusions around what I think about the watch. And importantly, I will show you the bracelet links and how they work. Please just bear in mind, this might be longer than well, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm just going to talk, so apologies if it's too long. So the movement, a bit of a controversial thing with IWC. So the movement in these watches is based on either an ETA 2892 or some Solita movement. From what I understand, this is an ETA movement in this particular watch. So what do IWC do? From everything I've been able to read, and there's actually a reasonable amount of material, but not extensive. They buy the movement in its component parts, refinish it to IWC standards, but you can't see that. So I'd imagine there'll be lots of perlage and maybe some anglage under there. I'm not sure about that. Definitely some Geneva striping and all that type of good stuff on the movement, but you can't obviously see it. Yeah, so they take it in its component parts and then finish it, probably swap out some parts themselves, fine tune it, and then build it to whatever their specifications would be. So based on an ETA 2892, but not an ETA 2892. The crown feel is absolutely brilliant, solid, what you'd expect, similar on other luxury watches I've used. It's very nice and very buttery smooth when you wind it. And then when you get to the point where you don't want to overwind it, there's a clutch that kicks in, you can hear it ticking away. Very easy to screw down. It's a very nice crown cheese, very sharp actually, very easy to grip. So you'll see it's not knurling, I don't know what that finish is, but extremely easy to grip, very, very easy to grip. The movement, so other companies do different things to get around anti-magnetism, but IWC have always put in a soft iron case, and they continue to do so to continue to make it anti-magnetic. Instead of having silicone hairsprings and whatever else, it just has a soft iron case on the inside of the watch, which I'm sure adds weight to it. Actually, I haven't weighed it. I might do that later. But that's how they get the anti-magnetic properties for this particular watch. The accuracy is okay. It's +3 seconds a day, which it doesn't say it's COSC certified, but is within COSC specifications if you're interested in that type of thing. I like watches. It's one of the things I'm interested in. A little bit disappointed, if I'm honest. I played around with it during the day. So during the day, it gains between 1.5 and 2.5 seconds. And then overnight, I've got it gaining around a second, 0.5 to a second. Equivalent over a day, depending on the position that I leave it in. So for reference, my Black Bay 58, Tudor Black Bay 58, I've managed to get that to plus 0.5 seconds a day. And my Omega Seamaster Aquaterra 8500 caliber, I've managed to get that to around minus 0.8 seconds a day. So +3 seconds a day is a bit more than I was hoping for. But it is what it is. The power reserve is the other only element that is, I knew this before buying the watch obviously, but because it's based on the ETA movement, it's a 42-hour power reserve, which is okay. But again, when you're used to something that has 70 odd hours or 60 odd hours, like my other two watches, it does mean I know people don't think this is a thing, but putting down the watch on a Friday, going away for the weekend, using a different watch, and then picking this up on a Monday and it's still ticking is quite a nice feature to have, because it gives you the opportunity, if you're someone that does have a weekend watch, right? A lot of people have watches they wear in the week, and then if they're doing something particular on the weekend, they'll have a weekend watch. But annoyingly, you can't do that with this. So unless you've got a watch winder, which I'm not that interested in, it will lose charge over that weekend. So a little bit disappointing. But I did check, and even their new in-house movements, so the one in the Spitfires and things, only have 46 hours. So while the movement looked fantastic, I think they should have worked a little bit harder to get a better power reserve for the in-house movements especially. So the looks, this is where it's all very subjective. So for me, it's a very, very clean aesthetic. It's blue and white. Obviously you've got the minute running track, you've got the numerals inside, and then just the hands. You've got the date as an additional complication, but it's a very, very classic look. And these watches have been around for a very long time. So for me, it's a look that has stood the test of time. There are some watches where you look back from the 70s and 80s or whatever, and you're like, yeah, that's of its era. But I think these watches really have stood the test of time very well and will continue to look good for many, many years to come. What I do quite like is, I don't know if you can see it, but where the you've got the little blocks at 12, 3, 6, 9 o'clock, and I'll put a loom shot in. But they're ever so slightly raised, and when you're looking at the dial, it just gives it a slight, you can't really see it, it just gives it another kind of a 3D element. It does make the dial look a little bit nicer. It just makes it a little bit nicer to look at. The sunburst effect is absolutely incredible, and the finishing on the dial to create that, and the tone of blue used. So right now it almost looks black, and I have showed pictures in other videos of what it looks like in the sunlight, so I won't drop one in for this one. But in the sunlight, it's such an incredible blue, and I'm a sucker for blue dials anyway. But yes, the dial colour and the way the sunburst effect, and when you move the watch in the sunlight and it kind of twists around the watch, it looks absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. One negative here, again, this isn't all positives, right, is, I will put a picture in, the loom application on the hour hand is a bit patchy. I've seen this on other brands. Apparently it's a bit of a thing with IWC, and it's still got consistent loom across the hand, but you can just see areas where it's a little bit darker. People have sent them back under warranty. I've only just bought the watch, so I won't be doing that. I will have it sorted under warranty when I service the watch in 3-4 years, whenever that is. Until then, I'll live with it. It's not something that's going to make me want to send the watch back and lose it for a good period of time. I don't know if you'll see it, but on the second day of having the watch, there it is, right there. I knocked the bloody thing in an area I've never ever knocked any of my watches before. You could just see a tiny, tiny dink. And I know people kind of go, oh, it's yours, it's patina or patina, or however you pronounce it. And now it's really special to you. And it was always going to get a knock at some point. There you go. And I'm under no illusions that was going to happen. But on the second day, it was bloody annoying. So yeah, that's a bit frustrating. Slightly off topic there, but it just reminded me when I saw it. So yeah, the loom, a little bit not ideal, and it's so easily rectified, right? There's no reason to have that kind of application on the hour hands. I do like the way the loom looks. A lot of people do complain about the loom. It does hold its charge very well, and the fact that it is, as you'll see on the loom shot, just those the 12, 3, 6 and 9 that light up, it is quite unique compared to other watches, and I do quite like that. And it's quite a nice colour loom as well, actually. So not 100% sure what loom it was. I did try to look into that, but I couldn't actually see or find out. A lot of people complain about the date window placement. So if you'll see, it just sits ever so slightly too far in to the dial. It just needs to be, I don't know, like a millimetre further to the right. And this will be obviously due to the movement that's been used. But I have seen other instances on IWC watches, I think it's Perpetual Calendar, where it's got 4 sub-dials, and you can't see the 6, 9 or 3, but you can see the tiny bit. They've put a tiny bit of the 12 in. I don't know why. Just move the sub-dial up, make it nice and symmetrical, and then you couldn't see it. So I don't care about the colour of the date wheel. I've seen people complain about the fact it's white in the background, but actually it makes it easier to see. If that's a blue date wheel with white text, first of all, if that's a 3, right, the position that is, it would be a little bit odd, and it might confuse some people. I'd like to think it wouldn't, but it might. But having it as a white background to it, it makes it a lot easier to see. I would just say it needs to be moved over 1 millimetre, because you can see it's just quite not right there. Doesn't bother me. You kind of don't notice it after a while anyway. But if you're making these watches in that way, there's no way the watchmaker didn't think that should be just ever so slightly further to the right. And I do think it should have been slightly further to the right. In terms of the case itself and the polishing of the case, for me, it's the perfect combination of brushed and polished. So I definitely favour brushing on the side of the cases as opposed to a high polish. So all my Tudors had a high polish, and my God, they pick up hairlines, scratches, and it just looks awful. And you can see them really quickly. And yes, it's a part of wearing the watches, but the fact that you've got it brushed, and it's a very nice fine brushing as well, it really hides those scratches where you get them a lot on the side of the case. But then you can see you've got a highly polished bezel. You've got a little chamfer, which starts here thick, and then it actually disappears around here, and there's no chamfer at all. And then it picks up again really thin and just thickens out again ever so slightly to the end of the watch. And it's a really nice touch. They could have just kept it the same all the way through. Didn't have to do that. It looks absolutely brilliant. It's very thoughtfully done. Obviously, you've got the polishing on the handset as well. So it just lifts the watch and just makes it a little bit more versatile. Within the bracelet, you've got the polishing on, they're not really center links, but the more central links, which again, just give it that added dimension. You've got the polishing on the side. And also what you've got is where this chamfer here comes along, you've actually got a slight chamfer on the top of each link as well. And then that plays into the clasp. So it goes all the way through the clasp and then back onto the bracelet. So you've got a really nice continuity there. And obviously the polishing there. But it's a really nice continuity, and it's really, again, really thoughtfully done. You didn't have to do that. They could have easily just brushed it like at the top, you can see there. But you just got little chamfer there, which just adds that something a little bit extra to the watch. And then finally, well, actually, we'll come on to that perlage in a minute. So yeah, really, really happy with the balance of the polishing and the brushed surfaces on the watches. It really makes it a very versatile watch, which is one of the really important things for me personally when buying it. So due to the overall design and look of the watch, I do think, like I said earlier, it's going to stand the test of time. It is people talk about, can you have a one watch collection? If you're so inclined, you could with this. You could wear this to the beach, as people say, and then out to dinner or into the office or whatever. It really is a very versatile and fantastic watch to wear. The other thing I do really like about it is the dimensions, and I did touch on this previously. So it's about a 50mm, 51mm lug to lug, 40mm in diameter, 20mm non-tapering bracelet, and 11mm high. And I don't know if you can see that, but that just sits perfectly flat on my wrist. It's super, super comfortable. For me personally, on my 7-inch wrist, that is absolutely spot on. I've still got a space at the top of the wrist. I've still got a space at the bottom of the wrist. It's just extremely, extremely comfortable and sits very flat on your wrist because of the way the lugs turn down. And the other reason it sits so flat, like I mentioned before, is if you look at the back of the case, a lot of watches, especially with display case backs, will bulge out at the bottom, and that raises the watch off your wrist. And sometimes can be a bit uncomfortable if you're trying to get a decent fit, but it's a very, very flat case back, so extremely comfortable. Because it's a Le Petit Prince edition, and it's worth reading about what the backstory of that. It is quite cool. You get this little dude on the back, and I do like that. I think those kind of details for me, again, make the watch a bit more special. And to be honest with you, even without that, you get a little image of a plane. But look at the detail of that, and I'm sure it's laser engraved, but I like that a lot. I think it looks really, really cool. Ah, that is cool. I do like that. I spent too much time looking at that. Anyway, so where are we next? So the bracelet. The bracelet is absolutely amazing. Super comfortable. It articulates really, really well. Huge amount of movement in it. I've never had a 5-link bracelet like this before. It really fits your wrist extremely well. So if I do this, you can see at the top of the bracelet, one of my friends actually pointed out, it kind of moves up and down. It's not flat as if it was a solid link. The system, which I will show in a minute, those little dots there, every single one of those links can be taken out, which is absolutely amazing. On the newer bracelets, they have a quick release mechanism there, which is even more impressive. But each of these are an individual link. Okay, so it's absolutely amazing. And the clasp, it is 6, I've measured it, I went to the website. It's 6 micro adjustments at 1mm each. This is the only watch I've ever been able to get a perfect fit on. Okay, so what happens is you press this button and that bar there gets raised, and then those little notches move under the bar, and then when you release the button, it hooks into it. Okay, so it's as simple as pressing the button down to release the watch, and you can either do it like that, or if you want to know exactly how many you've moved it in, you can do it like that. And it's incredible. And I had a Tudor Pelagos, which had 3 micro positions in a spring-loaded clasp, and I could not get a comfortable fit on that. The springs were really quite tight, so if you wanted to use a spring element on your wrists, it would really dig in, and you could feel it quite a lot. At least you could on mine. And with the 3 micro adjustments and no half lengths, I couldn't get a perfect fit on that watch. So this is the only watch I've been able to get an absolutely perfect fit on. And those 6 micro adjustments, and the really important bit is that there's 1mm adjustment each. So absolutely perfect. Right, so this is the bracelet. Okay, and what I'm going to do is put the toothpick in here and just pull out one of these links and just show you how easy it is to do. I appreciate I'm a little bit far away, but if I move the camera, it'll become a bit of a problem. So you push it in, pull it out, and there it is. Each one of the links looks like that. Absolutely tiny. You do the same on the other side, and there you go, it falls out. I'm not going to do it because it comes a bit messy with all the links. And then to put it back in, you literally slide it onto the edge, grab it both sides, push the popper in together and release it. And that's it. No screwdrivers, no hammers if it's pin and collar. Absolutely brilliant. What a fantastic system that is. Really impressed with that. I think that's it for the bracelet. It is an absolute marvel. Other watchmakers need to really have a look at this. And I think I've said before, Alanga and Zona, the Odysseus has the same link removal system and the same clasp. So that's how highly regarded they think of it. The other nice things about the watch are, if you buy, I don't understand this, if you buy it out the shop, you get a 2-year warranty straight away. Once you've registered it online, 8 years, 8-year warranty. Why you just don't get an 8-year warranty out of the box, I don't understand. Obviously, I'm assuming it's to encourage you to register the watch. But yeah, 8-year warranty is brilliant, and that's why I'm not worried about the loom on the hands. When I get it serviced in 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, I'll get that sorted at that point. I've talked about before, like the watch box. The actual box itself is just the same as all the other watch boxes, just cardboard. But the fact that you get a travel case in it is quite cool. And I've seen other brands doing this as well. I don't know if IWC are one of the first, but it's a nice touch, and it's a very nice travel case too. So really do enjoy that. Like anything, if you are looking at this watch, go and try it on. As I mentioned, it does wear bigger than the dimensions would suggest because of the longer lugs. So don't just assume because it's 40mm and 11mm thick with a 20mm lug width, you'll like it. You do absolutely have to try it on. Because there's no bezel and they've made the dial very large, it goes almost to the edge of the watch. So it definitely wears more like probably a 42mm watch, to be honest with you. Just the way the dial is, because there's no bezel on it to shrink it. The outer minute track shrinks the dial a touch, and having the numbers inboard of that, it does shrink the dial a bit, but it definitely wears bigger than a 40mm diameter suggests. So just be aware of that before you just go and pick it up. The other thing about the bracelet, before I do move on, is the perlage. You don't need that, right? But how cool is that? You don't need it at all. And the nice thing they've done is, look, it goes from there onto that bit and that bit. So all the bits that are ever so slightly recessed have perlage applied to them. So it's consistent, and it's not just random. And then when you close it and turn the watch over, you see the perlage through there and on that bit there. And no one's going to see that apart from the owner. But what a nice touch. I think that's such a cool thing to have done. Completely unnecessary. And again, it just kind of is a bit in keeping with the fact that it is more versatile than a black dial, where that is just brushed. yeah, completely unnecessary, and I think it's great. And it's a nice solid movement, and deployment too. So you put it in, it's not going anywhere, twin trigger. Very, very nice indeed. So overall, what do I think? Overall, I think it's pretty obvious. I absolutely love it. I have discussed the shortfalls or shortcomings of it. I'm not going to go over them again. For me, for my style, at the moment, I think it's an absolute belter. Comfort-wise, it's the most comfortable watch I've ever had. Aesthetically, it is more than my cup of tea. I'm super happy with it. Comfort, it's unreal. Yeah, it's just absolutely awesome. And oh yeah, another thing I didn't realise, on the crown, I'm not going to be able to tell you what it says now because I can't remember, but there's a particular engraving on the crown, and it basically means that it's been quality controlled and it's a high quality product and it's come from Schaffhausen. Yeah, I just love it. It's an absolutely cracking watch. As always, try it on if you're looking at it, but underrated, man. IWC is seriously underrated. Are they? They're not underrated by watch geeks or people that know about watches, but they're underrated by people that don't. I don't think their brand's out there enough. It's really nice to experience another brand. I've never had an IWC watch before. So yeah, super, super pleased with it. If you have any questions, obviously, please just let me know. Cheers, everyone.